Hello, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Fun Filled Friday. I hope you had a great day. I'm so excited that it's weekend. I probably say that every single Friday night, but it's been a long week. When you're with 10-year-olds all day and it's getting close to Christmas, it definitely is a busy day. So tonight, I am not going to do Christmas tonight. I decided let's just work on something else tonight. So I am going to use the Otterly Amazing Suite from the online exclusives. And I'm going to show you the suite. It's actually called, I think the suite is called Otterly Adorable. The bundle is called Otterly Amazing. So this is a polymer stamp set. There are 10 stamps in this set. I'll hold it up just a little closer. You have 3 amazing sentiments. You're utterly amazing. Love you lots. And we're cute together. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different otters, a little baby one, a couple, and 2 that are just swimming on their backs. And then you've got some bubbles and some plant life and some fish down at the bottom. So that's the stamp set. It does come with coordinating dies. There are 15 dies, and this is what the dies look like. I haven't put them on a magnetic sheet yet, but that is what they look like. The designer series paper is really fun. So when I look at this, I even see this as cutting it into 3 sections going across horizontally, and you could have some really beautiful scenic cards. But we have this page, and then when you turn it over, you have a whole bunch of rocks, and the colors of the rocks are pretty much most of the colors that are in the suite, in the, designer series paper. We have Balmy Blue, Basic Gray, Calypso Coral, Crumb Cake, Early Espresso, Garden Green, Gray Granite, Lemon Lime Twist, Lost Lagoon, Old Olive, Pecan Pie, Pool Party, and Pretty Pink Peacock. So a ton of colors. The second sheet has just another great scene of all of the different otters and hanging around on logs and swimming around, and the back side just has all of those colors again with fish. Here we have another swimming otter scene, and on the back side we have some fish and some aquatic plants. And here we just have otters everywhere. What's nice is many of these otters can be cut with the dies. And then we just have a nice balmy blue background. Here we have another great bunch of scenes of the otters. I'm using this otter today, and I'll explain why I'm using the paper instead of the stamp. And then we have some crumb cake and early espresso on the back. I'm using this designer series paper tonight as well, plus the back side because we have that Lost Lagoon backing. I'm also using, the only thing I'm not using from the suite tonight are the pearls, but I'm using this embossing folder. So it is called the Soft Waves 3D embossing folder. And I just love the 3D embossing folders. It's just so nice and crisp. And I'll show you that in a minute. And then I'm also using one of our last chance items. So the Deckled Circles dies. And if you haven't got these yet, this may be something that you really want to look at the last chance list. These and the deckled rectangles are both on it. And so I'm so glad I have this because it is just such a spectacular set. I am using the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one from the center tonight for this card. So, you ready to see what we're making? I hope so. We're making a double gatefold tonight. So this is what the card looks like. I'll hold this down for just a second. I didn't put a belly band around it to hold it, so it will pop up a little bit, but that's okay because when it stands, it is going to stand that way. And so you will have the two parts of the gatefold coming out. And so once it sits in an envelope for a little bit, it will close a little more, but I think it's okay to look like this as well. Oh, and I didn't show you the beautiful cording that goes with the suite, and we're going to use that on the front of the card, either in a bow, or I might just wrap some around my fingers and put behind the design. I want to show you what this label looks like, what I did for the front of the card, and come up just a little closer for that. So you can see that I used a combination of die cuts and the designer series paper. So I die cut some of the rocks, the log, some of the greenery in a couple different colors, and the fish. And then I die cut out of the designer series paper those cute little otters. I just think they're adorable. And I use the Love You Lots on the front. And then on the inside, I put Your Utterly Amazing and used one of the stones, some of the fish, and one piece of greenery that was left. And there you can see the other designer series paper. So that's what we're making tonight. Now, you might think that this card looks complicated, but the gatefold is actually pretty simple. I'm just opening up my sheet on my computer so that I can make sure I'm able to give you all the dimensions. The one thing that's kind of different about this one is I've done it landscape. Instead of doing a gatefold card that looks this way, I'm doing it in landscape mode instead of portrait mode. And so the dimensions are just a little bit different. Okay, so let's get our materials out. So I don't know if you noticed in the top of the screen I've already done all the die cutting. So that is all there. And I also did the embossing. So let me just hold that up so you can see what that embossing folder looks like. Okay, so when I put this through the embossing folder, what I did was I put them side by side so that when I put this on the card front and close it, they will match. So that's one little hint that I did. So for this card, you are going to need a piece of 4 1/4 by 11 cardstock, and we are going to be scoring this at 2 inches and 3 3/4 inches on both sides of the card, and we'll do that in just a minute. You're also going to need for the card base a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock, and both of these are pretty peacock. Then you're going to need, I just took a scrap of paper to cut my circle out, and the reason I needed the circle was I wanted to have something that I could put my whole scene on. So I wanted to make sure that I had something to glue everything down on. So that's the purpose of that. And then I have 2 pieces of designer series paper that measure 1 1/2 by 4 inches. This is the same piece of designer series paper, but that's one side, and then this piece here measures 1 1/4 by 4 inches, and I have 2 of those as well. Then I have, oh, and I didn't tell you these measurements, I'm sorry. These measurements are 1 3/4 by 4 inches, and you need 2 of those. All right, and then finally, you need a piece of white, basic white, that measures 3 by 3 3/4, and then another piece of Lost Lagoon that measures 3 1/4 by 4, and we're going to be mounting those. And then I just took 2 scraps, a 1/2 inch scrap of the Lost Lagoon and a 1/2 inch scrap of the Pretty Peacock. And what I did, these were the scraps of what I cut from the main card, and I just saved those to use for this card. So what I want to show you first is how easy it is to put together a double gatefold card. We're going to do that part first, and just to show you the ease of it. So as I said a couple of moments ago, we need to score both sides of the piece of cardstock at 2 inches and 3 3/4 inches. So I'm just going to line this up on the 2 inch mark, make sure my cutting blade's out of the way, and I'm just going to score that. And then I'm going to go to 3 3/4, and I'm going to score that as well. Then I am going to just flip this around and do exactly the same thing. Score at 2. As I said, this is a pretty easy card to make. 2 inches and at 3 3/4 inches. Okay, that's all the scoring that we need to do. So the first thing we're going to do is burnish those edges. So the score line that is at 3 3/4, we're going to fold in, and the score line that is at 2 inches, excuse me, we're going to fold outward. So that again, at the 3 3/4 mark, we're going to be folding it inwards, or we could say we're making a valley fold. And then at the 2 inch mark, we're making either, you could say, a mountain fold, or we're just folding in the opposite direction. So this will make our gatefold, which looks just like this. All right, so I'm going to just start putting some of my background paper on this. So on the very outside of this, I'm going to be putting these 2 pieces because these are going to fold in and meet. So I'm just going to make sure I've got them going in the right direction. And I'm just going to add some of the Stampin' Seal to the back. Tore just a little bit of the cardstock off the back. That adhesive is so strong. All right, so that one is there. Again, I'm just going to make sure I have this lined up right, and I'm going to add some of the Stampin' Seal on the back side. And I've been doing a lot of Christmas projects and going through a lot of Stampin' Seal. So let me just refill this really quick. And I can give you a little hint that you may have heard before if you've had to see me. You want to really check your casing, the case it's going to go into, and right at the top where the adhesive comes out, just make sure you don't have any. I have a little bit, and I just dropped it. Not sure where it went, but oh, it's right there. So you want to make sure that is off. And that way, nothing, when your new tape is dispensed, it's not going to be held in place by that piece of adhesive. So I'm going to now put this piece on. All right. Then I'm going to take my 2 larger pieces of the Designer Series paper, and these were the Lost Lagoon ones, and I am just going to add some of the Stampin' Seal on that, and this is going to go right on the inside. Now I decided not to mount these on a piece of Lost Lagoon cardstock or piece of white or any other color. because I just felt it coordinated so well with the Peacock that I didn't need to have another layer down. I'm going to wait to attach this when I stamp it, but I can put this piece in. Okay, that's the first part of the card. Easy peasy, right? So we'll set that aside, and now we're going to take care of the base of the card. So this is our piece of 5.5 by 4 1/4, and these two pieces of Designer Series paper are going to go right on the end. And you'll be able to see this piece on the front of the card. At least most of it you will. Okay, there's one. I love how this Designer Series paper has a variety. It has the nice solid base pattern, and then it has some beautiful designs on it. So I was able to complement this card by using just these two little scraps of little pieces of the Designer Series paper, and then using the plainer one inside and the card. So when this is on, this really enhances the whole card and not take away from it. So a little hint that you can do, I don't usually do this, I just eyeball it, but some people are a little more precise than I am. I'm going to turn this upside down, and what I want to do is put a little mark at the halfway point, which is 2 3/4 inches. So I have that little pen mark right here. It's going to be covered up, so that's okay. This will just help me if I'm really trying to get it in the center exactly, then this will allow me to do that. So because this needs to be held along this card, I'm adding just some extra rows of adhesive. All right, so as I said, so I'm just going to turn this sideways so it's easier for me to see. I want to put this so that mark is right in the middle, right where my gatefold meets. And I want it to be even. There we go. So now by doing that, and I don't know, I don't really think it's even, but I would have just eyeballed it. I really don't think that's even. Oh, I have this piece out a little further. That's okay, though. It's going to look great no matter what. Okay, I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to start doing some stamping. So I've just got a piece of paper here so that I have something to stamp on, because I'm going to be stamping off. And I'm just looking to see where I put my... I lost it. But that's okay, because I have another 1/2 inch piece right here, so we'll just use that. That will work out fine. All right, so I'm only going to be using Pretty Peacock ink tonight, and I'm going to be, let me see, and I'm, whoops, moving my phone all around, and I'm just going to be stamping with the fish on this piece of cardstock. So I'm just going to stamp the fish just anywhere on the background. It doesn't have to fill it in completely, doesn't have to be straight. I'm going to be covering most of this up, but it's going to be there in the background. I'll be able to see it, and the recipient of my card will be able to see it. Okay, so there's that. The other stamping that I want to do before we put this all away is I want to, on this, stamp my You're Otterly Amazing. And I'm just going to stamp that towards the middle. And then I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to take this piece here, and I am going to take the sentiment, Love You Lots, and put it on this piece. There we go. And I'm just going to trim it. And then this piece will go on that piece, and I'll trim that. There we go. And we'll just trim that little bit off, and that's ready to go. Okay, so now we're ready to start putting together the rest of our card. So as I said, this piece right here is going to be my base that everything's going to go on. So I'm going to start with my greenery. Got my log. Just get all the greenery over here. We're going to do this in layers. So I think I've got all the greenery. All right. So I'm going to start with this left side, and I'm going to be placing my greenery like this, and then I'm going to have a piece going off the side. So let's do these first. I'm not going to adhere every little piece with the liquid glue, but I am going to go right down the middle. If I put too much in an area, it's probably either going to be covered or it's going to be, or it will dry, and it will dry clear. So I'm not worried about that. So I'll just hold that down for a few seconds so that it can adhere. I'll put the next one, put some glue on that as well. This bottle is getting close to empty, so it doesn't come out and as easy, and then I'll squeeze it too hard and it will come out really fast. So I'm trying to prevent that. So I'll hold that down for a minute. And then I'm going to have the third one come right off the side. So I really want to only be in the middle. Okay, we'll hold that in place. There we go. Then we're going to put these two pieces of greenery on the right-hand side of the circle. And I do want to save one of these for the inside. So I'll just add some glue to these. Hold that down for a second. So, are you ready for Christmas? I have to mail my Christmas cards tomorrow and my packages. Some packages I'm not going to be mailing because I'm going to see my great nieces and nephews after the holidays. So I want to keep their gifts so that I will have them for them. So these they're the shorter pieces. So I'm going to want them to be coming up a little higher than the other pieces so that they can be seen. But I want them to look like part of this greenery. that they're not little pieces sticking at the top. So that, we'll put this one in. So this will just help me have an idea where I want to put my really cute otters. Now, I said I would tell you why I chose to use the die cut from the paper, is that I looked at the shading at these and I just thought, there is just no way I will be able to recreate that with my blends. It is going to take too much practicing. So I thought, you know, I am just going to use it as my front and kind of have a mix of stamping and a mix of die cuts and designer series paper. So I'm going to add my log right here at the bottom of the plants. So this is what it's looking like as we build it. So everything is going to have a nice 3D effect because everything is going to be layered on top of each other. Hi Bonnie, thanks for joining tonight. And I'm going to add some, you just close that for a few minutes. I'm going to add some dimensionals to this. But I'm going in a little bit because I want to make sure that I am not putting the dimensionals on the outside of this. So I'll just, there we go, that looks good. Okay, so we'll add these. And then what I'm going to do is add 3 rocks. I'm going to add one of each side. I cut out a whole mess of them, but I'm only going to use 3 for the outside. So I'm going to put a little adhesive on the big one. And that's going to go right under our otters. I'm going to layer this next size, the medium one, kind of over but under, over the other rock, but under the otters again. And then I am going to put a mini dimensional on the back and have this stick up and actually go in front of the otters a little bit. So that's what I did with the rocks. All right, so now we have, let me put, I wanted to put the ribbon on first. I keep forgetting about that. So we'll just use a bow on this as well. So I like to tie my bows right on the spool because I find I don't waste as much that way. Give it a good tie. And then I'm going to just trim it. And this is going to go sort of right behind the plants, right on top of the plants. And I can trim that down afterwards. And we'll put this as close as we can to those plants. And we'll trim that down once it's on the card. Okay, so now let's get the inside of the card. Let's get everything that we need. So I am going to take one of the rocks. I think I used the medium size, so let's get one of the smaller ones. All right, and I'm just going to put a little glue on that, and I'm going to put a little glue on the plant. Now, as I said, the gatefold card is really easy to make. It's how much you decorate it afterwards that will make the difference, and how long it takes you to make one. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just add little bits of glue, because I'm going to add some of the fish, the little tiny fish I have back here will do. And I want to put these on because if any of the glue comes out, I want to make sure it has time to dry. And let's see, I guess I'll use another small one. So this is what that looks like in case you couldn't see it. It was so far from the camera. So cute. I just love those little fish. So you can stamp the little fish like I did, or you can cut them out. And I just thought it would be so nice to cut them out to have that added texture to the card. And you'll see where I'm going to put them on the front as well. So this can now go on the inside of our card. Okay, so now let's get that front panel attached. So this is going to only be attached on one side. So it's going to be like this. And it's okay if the greenery or anything else comes off the side because there's plenty of room. I have a little bit of the circle showing and a little bit of greenery that I'm just going to snip those off so that you can't see it on the front of the card. It didn't matter. You probably saw that I cut so little off. Oh, Bonnie, I think you'll love it if you decide to get it. It's a really fun set. All right, so I'm just going to put my finger so I know where the dimensionals need to go. And I have a little bit of the glue that added some of the white paper. So I can use my adhesive eraser to get it off. Just so the white, especially that white paper it picked up, doesn't bother it. And then it will get that adhesive off so it's not going to stick to anything it is not supposed to. Okay, so I just want to make sure because I took my finger off to do that. All right, so it's on that side. So now I'm just going to take my large dimensionals, and it needs to be on this side of that leaf. So I'm going in probably a little more than I need to, but I just want to make sure that it's going to be fine. And I'm putting some extra dimensionals down there so that it's going to really hold in place. So this is our last, oh no, we've got one more thing to do. We're going to add some of those fish to the front of the card. What I had intended to do when I was thinking about this card was I was going to actually stamp some fish on the card before I put it through the embossing machine. And I didn't. And I was okay with that, but I still wanted some fish. So I thought, oh, I'll just die cut it. And that will look really sweet. So let me just grab this piece, cut that off. Okay, so now we can start putting our fish. Now I'm going to start on this side because I want the fish to be where I want it to be. Hi Joyce, thank you, and thank you Bonnie too. So I'm just going to put some little dots of glue back and forth. Some of these are going to be covered up, and that's okay. I just want to stay away from the very bottom where my greeting's going to go. So I'm just using my Take a Pick tool because these are little suckers. And putting it down. And I have lots of different sizes. So I'm going to put that one on the other side. And I can push them in any direction I want them to go. And put any size where I want it to go. And you just have to make sure that you don't get a lot of glue on your Take a Pick tool, or you can't take it off. And then you also want to make sure you're picking them up on the right side. Okay, let's get some small ones in there. And again, you just have to be careful with the glue. You're going to end up with glue coming out of the sides when you put the fish down, especially the small ones. So you want to you've got to let it dry. So that's what I want to just say. Okay, we have one more, and we'll use a larger fish for that one. Okay, and you can see that when I bring this over, I can still see the fish, but more importantly, I can see the fish when I open it, and that's what I really wanted. So I've got some adhesive on that. Let's just turn that over. And then what I'm going to do is take my greeting, and that is going to go right here at the bottom. So let me put that on, and then we're going to continue with the fish on the other side. I cut those little fish just out of the, I cut it out of just the pretty peacock paper. So it was cut. There's a small die. Let me just see where I put the stamp set. It's like right in front of me somewhere. The die for the fish looks just like this. So you cut lots of them out at the same time, and they're all different sizes. So they're really great. So I just cut those out of regular cardstock for the card. Okay, so the last thing is to just put some fish over here. So let me just get my glue and put some dots down. Now I have one. I don't want to put too many dots and not have enough fish. So let's just find them all. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. So we'll just put some dots down. I'm going to put one in the center of the circle as well. And so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There we go. Okay, let's put these down. And then I'll hold this up so you can see it pretty close. So I'm putting one of the bigger ones in between the greenery and just get that one to flip over. And I'm going to put a bigger one on the inside here. And now we just have the little ones left. So you might rather stamp instead of cut these little guys out. But I have to say, it just adds to the texture of the card. And I really, really like that. Just get them on the right side. There we go. Okay, our card is done. So let me close this up and bring it closer up to the camera. So this is what the card looks like when closed, and you can see all of those wonderful little fish all along the front. You can see the two types of this designer series paper, the embossed front, and then when I open up the card, you get to still see all of those beautiful fish, but also the inside of the card in the other designer series paper. So thank you so much for joining me tonight for Fun Fold Friday. I've had a lot of fun sharing this suite with you and this Fun Fold. Remember, it's just a basic double gatefold, and so it's easy to make, and then you can decide how fancy you want to make it with your decorations. Thank you for being here tonight. I'll be back Sunday night for another edition of Simply Stamping Sunday, and I will be back next Friday night to kick off Christmas, the end of, well, it's my vacation day. It's the start of my vacation, to kick off vacation and kick off Christmas week with another edition of Fun Fold Friday. I hope you have a great week. Stay warm. It is so cold here in the Northeast. Take care, everyone. Good night.